Thank you for attending today's webinar. We are going to have a very fascinating topic about AI, particularly large language model and real-world evidence-powered clinical trial and precision drug discovery. We have three topics to be discussed today. So we have three presentations. And first, we have Amrie Grammar. He will talk about integrating clinical trial and precision drug discovery, and followed by Enzo Patouhas talk about AI, particularly large language model powered clinical trial. And the last, I will talk about digital clinical trial and drug discovery landscape and clinical trial and precision DTX. And particularly the DTX is just the analog to the drug. So it can be like in the analog when the Amrie talk about the clinical trial and then precision drug discovery. And then I'm going to talk about in analogous that clinical trial and precision DTX, like a development iteration. So please leave your question during each speaker's talk in the chat, and then we'll back to after each talk we'll have a Q&A session, and also that this webinar will be recorded and shared. For my presentation, I have a lot of material to present, but I have a time limitation, so I already share in my LinkedIn post. So I share my link so you can see that you can save time. Okay, so without any delays, I want to hand over our first speaker, Amrie, to talk about very fascinating topic of the integrating the clinical trial and precision drug discovery. Okay, Amrie?
Well, thanks so much, Alex. And I'm excited to be here with yourself and Enzo. I'm Dr. Amrie Brammer, and I'm the co-founder, president, and chief scientific officer of an RNA precision health company called AMPEL BioSolutions. So Alex had asked me to talk to you about the work that we do with over 10 customers and partners around the globe. These are everything from small biotech to global pharma, and I'm going to show you some examples today. Our focus is autoimmune and inflammatory diseases, although we do work in infectious disease and certain areas of oncology. I'm going to focus today giving some real world examples about the autoimmune disease, systemic lupus erythematosus. Just in the news this week with UCB and Biogen's exciting top-line phase 3 positive results. Also dermatology, I'm going to touch on psoriasis as well as rheumatoid arthritis. So what are the types of things that AMPEL works with our partners? Everything from enriching for potential clinical responders. This is a big problem, especially in autoimmune disease, which are very heterogeneous. We also, about a year and a half ago, published the full translation of preclinical mouse to human. And so we now are working with a variety of smaller customers on their preclinical, and I'm going to give some examples. So we work on an a la carte basis all the way through designing and operationalizing clinical trials. We have a clinical operations CRO group, as well as full partnering. I've put my email up here, and very happy to hear from everybody on the Zoom today. So this is a team. We were hybrid long before that was a word. Our home base is in Charlottesville, Virginia, one of my favorite places. And our team is from the west to east coast, north to south. The problem that AMPEL addresses is clinical heterogeneity that can't be seen by any other means, by looking at symptoms, looking at other pharmacodynamic properties of the individual. And so we developed an approach to look at dynamic RNA gene expression. That's not genetics. That's what happens when the DNA opens in response to a signal. And to be able to make biomarkers to be able to help with pharmacodynamics in drug development, all the way through design of clinical trials and increasing success by being able to enrich for potential clinical responders. I'm sure everybody here knows what biomarkers are. When I talk about them today, I'm talking about taking a blood or tissue sample, for example, skin, or a biopsy, for example, from synovium, looking at the RNA to be able to subset patients into endotypes, indicate likelihood of clinical event or response, pharmacodynamics, and we're going to leave diagnosis to another day. This is all about real world evidence, designing and operationalizing clinical trials and precision drug development programs. All of this is on AMPEL's website, and I'm giving you the link up here. These are AMPEL BioSolutions partners and customers. As of this month, we've worked with UCB and Biogen for quite a long time. I published one of the first papers on the target CD40 ligand of Biogen's original drug almost 20 years ago. So it was really a thrill to see the top line phase 3 positive results of dapirolizumab. And AMPEL published a paper with them just last year looking at the RNA complementary biomarker analysis. So I mentioned the challenge, especially in autoimmune and inflammatory diseases, and that's clinical heterogeneity. And a heterogeneity that's not possible to be observed in any current testing, any serologic testing, for example, for autoantibodies, inflammation, or inflammatory markers, or by symptomology. So what we did, and myself and my co-founder, Dr. Peter Lipsky, founded AMPEL BioSolutions out of our experience at the National Institutes of Health during the Human Genome Project to look at all expressed genes, all 20,000 RNAs in every cell, and to be able to make tools to be able to categorize them by what we wanted to predict, drug target. And so I'm showing you here a heat map, pseudo-colored, red is up, blue is down. AMPEL's approach is unique in multiple ways. One, we have 100% coverage of RNAs. And secondly, we are grouping them by drug target. So I'm showing you every horizontal line is one of our tools. Every up and down is an individual person. I'm showing you about 1,500 of the 25,000 individuals that we've analyzed to date in our database. Everything from normal, healthy individuals, controls in clinical trials, all the way through a variety of the diseases that I showed you on the first page. The goal is to be able to categorize the subgroups, the endotypes of patients within a particular disease, and on a personal level, to identify what we call a genomic fingerprint. So the pattern of the expressed genes that are up red or down blue and corresponding to treatment responsiveness. We published 100 papers in high impact peer-reviewed journals, and they're all on the website. And I'm showing you here the references for our platform technology, RNA analytic tools, and we do our predictions with fancy math, then machine learning, supervised and unsupervised, and now a variety of predictive AI algorithms. These are all protected by pending and filed patents. I'm just going to show you one slide about a disease that most people are familiar with, rheumatoid arthritis. So when I got my Ph.D. almost 30 years ago, RA was a crippling disease that shortened lifespan. With the dawn of the TNF biologics, RA is transformed into a chronic manageable disease. A challenge, though, is there are a subset of patients living with RA that don't respond to the TNF biologics. And I'm just showing you what the genomic fingerprint is here. I'm showing you on the right side, these are all the individuals that respond to TNF clinically. And I'm also showing you the RNA analytic work. But in this subgroup, there are about 30% of patients that don't respond to TNF, and we're able to identify what are the other drugs that may work. As you know, there are a lot of other FDA-approved drugs on the market and in development. And having a complementary biomarker, having a way to enrich for potential responders is very important for the marketplace. Now I'd like to dig in a little bit deeper. I know Alex wanted me to talk about the technology. I mentioned it at a high level. We're grouping all 20,000 RNAs by drug target. So simplistically by cell, function, or pathway, one RNA in each group. This is very important for the mathematical predictions. We have a whole series of papers that you can find on the website where we used iterative machine learning and predictive AI to reduce 20,000 RNAs to 200 groups or so, about 1,500 RNAs that define the immune system and inflammation across all ancestries. This is critical. There are a number of examples in the marketplace. The first biologic for the autoimmune disease lupus, Benlysta. It was found only after the phase 3 trial that it didn't work for some ancestries. So AMPEL's tools work whether an individual is African American, Hispanic, Asian, Native American, or European American. And we work very hard to get to this point, and we're very proud of that coverage. That also gives an advantage for small biotech and global pharma, knowing that the enrichment for potential responders truly is for their whole potential marketplace. We chose to utilize off-the-shelf FDA-approved collection device for blood. This is the PAXgene tube. It stabilizes cells and RNA until they're shipped to the central lab, where RNA is isolated, full transcriptome RNA-seq is done. It's uploaded to AMPEL's RNA analytic tools with predictive AI in the cloud and spits out an answer. I'm just going to touch briefly on lupus, and I have a real-world use case scenario in the end of my talk, and showing why is lupus so complicated? Why have companies had so much trouble identifying a potential responder signature? We published this a year ago, and there are 8 individual endotypes or subgroups of lupus patients, and only 5% of them are stable on the drug being tested. So I want to move on and give another example, dermagene, so the same technology applied to skin biopsy. We validated in psoriasis, atopic dermatitis, scleroderma, and lupus. I'm going to focus on psoriasis today. These are 3 current customers and partners. And I'm just going to show you 3 slides highlighting the value of the technology and some real world examples. So I showed you that lupus is a group of 8 endotypes across all ancestries. Dermatology, all the diseases I mentioned, and I'm showing you psoriasis today. We published this, both a Science and a Nature paper. There are 4 subgroups or endotypes of psoriasis. The far left group are individuals that are controlled on their current medication. The 3 other groups have either overlapping or individual RNAs that are uniquely expressed. And we can intercalate all these individual RNA analytic tools. And just for your reference, I'm just showing you some examples here. Interferon, IL-12, IL-17, all that are very familiar to companies in drug development. And to make a score, so we can look at individuals or span patients across all of our tools. For comparison, I'm showing you the PASI score, which is the common clinical score psoriasis activity score. And as I mentioned in the beginning, physicians are not able to tell the difference between patients in these four endotypes, but AMPEL's RNA analytic tools are. Here I'm showing you work that we've done across 4 now FDA-approved drugs for psoriasis. All the data is on our website publications. Here I'm showing you baseline and after 15 weeks with 4 different drugs, secukinumab, etanercept, brodalumab, ustekinumab. These are all successful FDA-approved drugs. So you can see the PASI score before and after treatment. The patients got better. And here I'm showing you a variety of the dermagene RNA analytic tools. If we zoom in, for example, to one drug and look at 2 different doses and look over time, this is brodalumab. I'm showing you all the individual analytic tools and highlighting in color. Patient starting out is very severe in red, moderate is blue, and mild is green. You can look at these alluvial plots at different time points, 0 times 0, 4 weeks, and 12 weeks. And you can see that started out with pretty severe patients that improved over time. So this is the high level that I wanted to illustrate about the technology applied to dermatology, and wanted to end with a real world example with BMS that we presented earlier this year at the Precision Medicine World Conference, Dr. Pete Schaefer, and also we have a paper in press right now. So we were thrilled when the Lupus Foundation of America spontaneously came out earlier this year with this very nice highlight about AMPEL's technology for lupus poised to revolutionize care. Part of that is the day-to-day blood tests that physicians are using it in the clinic, and part is now unlocking the potential for many more drug development programs in lupus to be successful now that potential responders can be enriched. So in my last few minutes, I'm just going to highlight a real-world example of a partnership that we have with BMS around a drug that they acquired from Celgene called the berdaramide, and just showing you the results. The details are on the website. So the target is well known as Ikaros and Aeolus, and we worked with their phase 2 trial samples. In this particular study, the patients that they enrolled were in 5 of the 8 subsets, and showing you the range of severity at time 0, showing you that the targets were expressed differently in the different subsets, but all of the subsets did express the target to some degree. You couldn't tell the difference between the patients clinically, and these are very common ways to assess lupus patients: autoantibodies, complement, and a score. And I just want to get right to the point in showing you with the placebo and 3 different doses that only 2 of the 4 endotypes of lupus, the 3rd and the 5th endotype, and you can see that they have some overlapping but also very different gene expression, were clinical responders. And the full paper has all of the analysis, but SRI-4 is a very commonly used way to assess success in lupus. If we dig in deeper, and I'm just showing you one example, this is at the highest dose of the drug versus placebo, and looking at a variety of AMPEL's RNA analytic tools. This is what I was showing you to the side of the heat map. I've highlighted the ones, especially in group E, that were abnormal compared to all of the other groups, and these are very well-known targets of the drug. If we dig in deeper and look particular at cell subsets, and we saw that in both of the responding endotypes, both the monocytes and the dendritic cells showed a very particular response. And you can see that in one subset, the response was dominated by the monocytes, and in the other was dominated by the dendritic cells. If I look very high level at the alluvial plot, as I showed you for brodalumab, here's placebo highlighting in red. The severe patients didn't change with placebo. You could see that the percentage of severe patients decreased over time with the drug intervention. And we're very excited about this. The paper is now in press. This is just one of many real world examples with all of our partners and customers. You could go to our website, see all of the publications and all of the relationships that we have. I'm very excited to potentially talk with all of you about a relationship with AMPEL BioSolutions for your drug development program. I noticed that there's a number of biotechs on the call today. We've had many successes, including the ones I've highlighted here. And with that, just want to thank Alex for the invitation. Honored to be talking today with Enzo. Looking forward to getting to know his company, Clinical AI, better. AMPEL BioSolutions focus on RNA analytics with predictive AI, platform technology applicable across disease areas, 10 plus customers and partners, everything from credentialing and preclinical to enrichment for potential responders and end-to-end CRO if that's desired. Very happy to take your questions.
Thank you. Yeah, we have about 2 minutes more to go. So do you have any question?
Say that again, Alex.
Oh, yeah, we have 2 minutes to go for Q&A session. So I'd like to ask to you, anyone have a question to you? So, okay. I just have a question about that. To compare to the traditional DNA-based precision health, what's the advantage of using RNA? And then, and particularly that the topic is about the integration of the clinical trial and then drug discovery that you have done. So can you share your insight about what is the future directions to integrating these two process as a one of the drug development process? And that'll be great that we can have learn from your experience, right?
What wonderful questions, Alex. I'll take the last one first. So now that AMPEL has a validated platform technology across the entire genome, and we've had many successes, that the biggest thing immediately that we're going to see in the next 5 years, especially in diverse autoimmune diseases that are heterogeneous, is the number of companies that have successful phase 2 and phase 3 trials. The number of companies that just barely miss their milestones and endpoints and therefore don't get approved by the FDA. And lupus is a very long list. It's also a problem in others. So very high level, I think we're going to see an increase in the number of successful trials. We're also going to see an increase in the number of candidates that go from a compound to an actual drug, acquisitions of small companies that have much more validated knowing the signature of the potential responders to really accelerate the drug development once a small company is acquired. Now, your question about DNA is twofold. One, RNA is dynamic. It's real time. For autoimmune disease, a drug's goal is to affect dynamic inflammation and to eventually decrease the risk of a flare and to also decrease organ damage. So in autoimmune and inflammatory diseases, being able to target the dynamism is very important. As you know, RNA is much more dynamic than protein. DNA, for example, DNA is very important in oncology when you get a spontaneous mutation and you have a drug specifically targeting that mutation. AMPEL doesn't work in that area.
Mm-hmm.
The other area about DNA that we haven't talked about very much, but we have several papers now, including one we're going to get a lot of press about next week, is we have a pipeline where we take single nucleotide polymorphisms, these are inherited changes in DNA, and we back engineer to know what the signaling pathways are, and then validate of the SNPs that are driving directly to RNA. And there are a small group of those in inflammation in the immune system. And so we're able to layer that on for our customers. And that is going to accelerate, especially preclinical development and new drugs, by validating very early that a candidate is addressing one of the genetic drivers that goes all the way through to RNA, for example, in lupus or psoriasis.
Hmm. Wow. Actually, I have a lot of questions to you, but actually the time limitation. So I have something to ask you to you. Maybe you have you share your insight or the answer in the chat, and then we will hand over to the Andrew. So actually, today I'm attending the online webinar in another event is about the cancer treatment, cancer care. And then they developing the like a very unified data architecture for the cancer treatment, and they also developing the platform to use of the unified care data because the data is important like a DNA, RNA or thing. And then I found that the RNA data may be very difficult to have, right?
And
So
why is that?
because
Why
uh,
is it
because because
difficult?
uh, the because very I think that the RNA data is not like because I've seen your data set actually the very very complex one, and then I'm not sure whether they have some like some kind of standard way to representing RNA data model, but I just want to hear from you that what is the expectation of the your RNA-based precision health can be used in the oncology, in the cancer the cure, and then what is the future direction of the direction? Because I really interested because I
Sure.
organized another event and I
Yeah.
posted my site, but we don't have the time. But maybe
Okay.
we went back to the later, right? But
Okay.
anyway, because
So
you can share
I'll
in the
tell you
yeah.
just briefly, Alex.
Hmm.
One is that now that there's a standard FDA approved collection
Hmm.
device to isolate RNA called a
Hmm.
patch gene tube,
Hmm.
it's very straightforward.
Hmm.
That wasn't true a long time ago. So now isolating RNA and having it be reproducible is not a problem.
Hmm.
The second is in oncology, and we have an example in lung cancer on our website. I have the presentation at the Precision Medicine World Conference, is looking in the blood at the immune system
Hmm.
response to the tumor. So, for example, in lung cancer, from a blood cell, looking at the white blood cells, we can predict if a nodule in the lung is benign or malignant. So happy to talk more about that, but thanks so much.
Yeah, maybe we can talk later because I have another event. So I will share my plan because it'll be very fantastic to share your insight with the topic. Okay, so Andrew, yeah, I pass over to the second speaker. Okay.
Excellent. Thank you very much. My name is Enzo Patouhas, and I am a behavioral scientist by education and an entrepreneur at heart. For more than a decade, I've been leveraging new technologies and remote workflows to optimize clinical trials involving human subjects. And most of these subjects belong to vulnerable, hidden, or hard to reach populations. My experience spans across academia and industry. I've served clients at top research institutions, large rare disease foundations. I've worked with several branches of the military and various private companies from Fortune 500s to startups spanning across life sciences domains. So, Alex, thank you for the opportunity to discuss, my perspective on the role of AI in transforming the clinical research landscape. So with that, I'll jump right in. Imagine a future where healthcare is not just reactive, but predictive. Today, we're surrounded by a vast array of health data. Everything from medical records by various providers to patient-reported outcomes. We've got wearable devices. We've got apps on our phones that collect on a daily basis a ton of data on our person. And this diverse data offers the potential for highly personalized care. However, its fragmentation across various platforms creates a significant challenge in harnessing its full value. To advance disease diagnosis, treatment, and prevention, we have to overcome these obstacles and effectively aggregate and analyze this data. The challenge is not just in the quantity of data, but it's in the quality and accessibility. Scattered health data across various source systems makes it extremely difficult and time-consuming for humans alone to consolidate and analyze. This fragmentation creates barriers for patients, for researchers, and clinicians, which ultimately hinders our ability to provide personalized care. There are also institutional and organizational hurdles to overcome, such as hospital permissions to access EMR systems, IT team resources, and clinical research personnel. Traditional data migration workflows, EMR to EDC, for example, in clinical research, have heavily relied on humans without large language models to perform intense data mapping between systems, manually standardizing, coding, and reformatting data for the next stop in its journey. In fact, it's been a huge effort for clinical research teams to move data from the EMR to the EDC used in clinical research. Not only is this process traditionally extremely time consuming, but from a regulatory perspective, if a human migrates the data from the EMR to EDC in a clinical trial, the data is no longer e-source. And if you're submitting the data to the FDA, it now requires monitoring, meaning another human has to come in, often in person, to your site, unless you have an ADC with remote monitoring capabilities, and validate the data to ensure that the data copied from the EMR matches the EDC, which is more expense for the sponsors. AI is poised to revolutionize the clinical research industry because of its ability to integrate with any source system, analyze vast amounts of data from diverse sources in all types of formats, including text, video, image, and uncover valuable insights that were previously unattainable. A significant opportunity lies in bridging the gap between EMR collected data and EDC. There is a treasure trove of hidden insights buried within the vast amounts of data generated by hospitals. These piles of unused data sitting as basically trash can be turned into gold. I'm not just speaking about monetary value. I'm talking about advancing science and medicine to save lives. AI is technology's most important priority, and healthcare is its most important application. It is a time to leverage AI to unlock data's potential by analyzing these robust data sets so that we can discover new patterns, identify optimal treatments, and tailor therapies to individual patients. Often underutilized wearable devices and patient-reported outcomes offer a unique perspective on health. And by combining this data with medical records, AI can provide a more comprehensive understanding of patients' health and tailor treatments accordingly and in real time. Clinical trial teams often face challenges in recruiting diverse samples of participants. This is majorly in part due to the reliance on EMR data and in-person clinical trial recruitment methods. With AI, we can expand our reach. It can be leveraged to identify potential subjects for trials on online platforms, social media outlets, and digital health communities. This expands our ability to reach subjects in remote or underserved areas, leading to more representative and inclusive studies. AI excels at monitoring, managing, and analyzing real-time data from a variety of sources. This capability opens new doors for prevention, early disease detection, changes in health status, and timely interventions. Real-time data leads to better outcomes. And health is not just about medical conditions, but it's also influenced by social factors. AI presents an opportunity to further integrate social determinants of health into clinical decision-making, helping to identify at-risk populations and address underlying issues that impact health outcomes. When AI is integrated with a globally hosted EDC system capable of capturing data remotely from patients, there's an opportunity to reach underserved and at-risk populations. This approach gathers real-time data that might not be discovered in in-person clinic visits. Post-market surveillance is crucial for ensuring the safety and efficacy of drugs and medical devices. AI can leverage real-world data to continuously monitor the performance of these products, identifying potential safety issues, and contribute to ongoing improvements. There is an incredible opportunity to convert the massive amount of data generated each day into actionable insights for patients, providers, and researchers. Data can save lives. And at this time, by embracing AI and leveraging data-driven insights, we can create a future where healthcare and clinical research is more actionable, accessible, and patient-centered. So with that, I want to talk about the potential of AI and segue into the implementation in a specific use case. So I would like to, hopefully he's on, invite Alex Ravitz, the COO of Clinical AI, to go through an oncology use case. I cannot see the screen. Is he here or should I continue? Okay, not here. I will do it myself. So give me 1 second to pull up an additional brief on clinical AI. But clinical AI has several products. One of the main products that we're talking about at this time is called Maya, Medical AI Assistant. And Maya has been used already. She has spun out of Johns Hopkins Medical Center and started as robo-trials and now rebranded to clinical AI. And let me go ahead and share this screen here. Okay. So clinical AI definitely works with hospitals, biotechnology, pharmaceutical companies, CROs, and individual clinicians to apply artificial intelligence and healthcare to clinical trials. There is an unmet need for AI in the screening processes. Eligibility screening takes a ton of time and effort. And a lot of patients, 80% of clinical trials face bottlenecks to their enrollment. There is an opportunity to apply AI to sift through all of the massive data and data types to screen patients for trials. Clinical AI is in partnership with OpenAI, and it leverages ChatGPT-4 Turbo to review patient medical records to determine potential eligibility. What is great about it so far is that I have seen it being able to integrate with any EMR. And we're not talking about through traditional mapping and API routes of the past. It is HIPAA compliant. So this is a software as a service wherein you get to have an environment, private environment of OpenAI ChatGPT. You can train your instance to understand all of your data. Let's say it's, for example, in the medical record system, you can take on the screening that a sponsor provides you and feed it into Maya to automatically find those participants. And what I also like is that after that point of finding and screening those participants, I can integrate with an electronic data capture system and send them right into the database where the clinical research team is managing. So let's go through an oncology case study. There was a site running 12 clinical trials that implemented Maya in February 2024. The site was able to increase the number of patients screened per month by 133%. The site had a screen fail rate of 48% before the implementation and 59% after. But the total amount of patients enrolled per month increased by 83% overall after implementing AI. That's huge. This is in summary, Maya does streamline clinical trial eligibility processes. It also bridges gaps between systems, between the EMR and the EDC by being able to reformat data for the next stop in its journey. It has significant value for clinical trials and also life science companies, depending on your use case. It's got a great pricing structure, and we build out prototypes based on the client's use case before they make any commitment to purchase Maya as a software as a service. So at this time, I wanted to open it up for questions. I know this was a lot of information in a short period of time. I hope it is well received. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Yeah, it's fantastic. It's actually that I and Andrew and his company's founders have talked about the capability of the Maya and then other possibility. Actually, it's fantastic because I also have a work on to utilizing EHR data for many different healthcare applications, and the most difficulty is to like 90% of EHR data non-structured, and then to organize the data for some specific purposes, particularly training to large language model is very difficult task. So I also collaborate with other experts to have a lot of have experience in EHR data handling. And then we're looking at like a potential to make easier to utilize EHR data for many different healthcare applications. But it's fascinating because Andrews and his company actually already applied the principle, and then to make easier to like find out the like right patient to be for specific clinical trials. Actually, I'm going to talk about a little bit more about that kind of trend when in my talk. Actually, I found his company because I analyzed all the like the promising startup in that space, and I found his company. So it was a very fascinating topic. So is there any question to him? Okay, so maybe we can talk more during my presentation because my presentation is related to Angel's talk. Okay, thank Angel again. Okay, I
Thank
will
you.
start mine. Mm, okay, see, just okay. Okay, so what I'm going to talk about now is two topics. One is a digital clinical trial and drug discovery landscape. Particularly, I'm interested in utilizing AI and digital technologies to integrate with this traditional clinical trial and drug discovery landscape. And so I researches over this space. Actually, I look at the whole digital health space for a year. And then I look at the thousand startup, and then finally, like filter out about the 500 to look at in the deep dive what they're doing, and based on that, I can learn about what the current trend and future directions. So I'm going to share my result about the digital clinical trials, current trend and future directions, and then another that is based on AI and other digital tools to also to integrate with the traditional drug discovery. So I will do the same thing for the digital drug discovery. And second part is I really have a good understanding of the digital therapeutics development side because I'm also a patent attorney. So I've looked at about 200 patent in DTX in the all main main development side because of I analyze about 200 global startup in DTX, and then I know about their business model, their product, and their innovation. And based on that, I research over their corresponding pattern to look at the different side of the how they implement the innovation. And then I come up with the idea that, okay, so by the characteristic of this innovation, all aspect of the digital therapy actually precision medicine that we have in traditional ways. So, okay, so that means that digital therapeutics can be developed for all aspects of the health condition treatment as a precision, the personalized way. So I share that my finding, and particularly I'm interested in that actually I've talked with Amir before starting this webinar. I mean, particularly interesting is how to make this digital health a mainstream healthcare. And then as a part of it, actually, I'm thinking about how to make DTX as adopted in mainstream healthcare. And then I'm an ongoing process. I have another collaborator doing that. And then actually recently filed a patent about our like how to adopt the DTX mainstream and how to make integrate other step to like clinical trial integration and then DTX development integration, everything. So I will share about that. Okay, so I will share. I already share my presentation, so I just go over the just essential part and then go into directly the Q&A session. So this is just a landscape because I still look at the a lot of the startups, and then I finally select the foreign companies that are under like very active in the working in the innovation. And so I just make the yellow book, so a type of the information book. So for example, the concept AI is one example that I would look at the company overview and product reviews and technology innovation, fundraising, executive with the LinkedIn connection and then client market and regulatory compliance, this kind of stuff I produce. So based on that work that I analyzed what the trend. So it's the AI-driven clinical trial optimization is a one. So the typical like stuff is the online AI. So for example, the online AI using digital twins to be utilizing to the like clinical trials because the human human patient to have a very difficult to recruit and manage and many things. So they have under mimic the human like a patient. So is they call the digital twin of a patient. So they will like represent in the condition of the human, so they can try their new developed drug over this digital twin. So this is one way. So to make clinical trial optimization. Another thing is utilizing real world data. So and then so is Asian and OMO is one typical example. I've had a bunch of the other company actually utilizing this the RWD as RWE. And another is the Angel already talked about decentralized hybrid trials, Castoring and the Curie-base is one example, like using decentralized clinical trials. And another thing is Andrew, they talk about clinical AI and the other antidote and deep fix AI, like the using large language model to like match with the patient and the particular characteristics that your clinical trial. And then synthetic control arm is another is RNA as an inference, utilizing synthetic control arms using history clinical trial data and RWD. So this is one typical like that I found it. And then future direction that, yeah, much enhanced AI integration because the Andrew talk about ChatGPT utilization, but as far as you know, there are a dozen, more than 10, actually the often AI type large language models available for the healthcare. So you can explore all different type and then there are different characteristic accuracy and then different way to train. So you can customize depending on your propose. So the enhanced AI integration will be more, and the expansion of the RWE source. So we have like just a simple RWE to the more like Enzo already talk about social determinant of the health type of the data will be included, and then personal trial experience also follow up, and then particularly that whether this kind of utilizing the AI, for example, the digital twin of the patient can be allowed. And recently there was tried in FDA, and then collaborate ecosystem will be coming up. And this is the drug discovery side. So I look at the company like that. And also I made the yellow about this startup. And so I did the same thing. And this is one example of Toming AI. And so from my analysis, I found the current trend is the AI for small molecular drug discovery. And then this is the one actually I mean talk about RNA drug discovery, right? So AI using RNA. So we already have a very good insight because I'm shared all kind of detail about how to utilizing RNA drug discovery in intervention clinical trial. And the multi-omic data is a trend, and then proteomic and AI, and for immunology, immunology oncology is also like that should touch about it. And another thing that I'm interested in with the quantum computing in the drug discovery is one of the one that has started working on it. Okay, and the future direction and the new therapeutic modality is the expansion of AI and personalized drug development, and then the AI during clinical trials, integrated synthetic biology, and the post-market surveillance and federated learning, particularly for the data purpose. The AI will be utilizing the federated learning or the decentralized AI using blockchain or Web3 technologies another way. Okay, and this is purely my idea that precision. I just defined the precision distance. You can think about that when you think about precision medicine, that one particular thing is a biomarker. Like so, this is the same thing. We have a digital biomarker can be utilized for the personalizer to make more deeper level understanding of the personal health state. So the digital therapeutics by nature utilizing AI and digital tools, so they can be integrated with any kind of like data, and then utilizing data and the process data. So in a like they have like a personal approach to treatment optimized patient outcome, and because of they provide continuous monitoring and adaptive care frame. Particularly, I'm interested in also like integrate the like remote patient monitoring device integrate with them. So actually, recently we filed a patent about how to utilizing TTX and then RPM to monitor and then feedback to like as a generated real life data, real life evidence, and then connect to the clinical trial. That's my idea that to make as a platform. And okay, so the advantage, personalized healthcare, dynamic adaptive intervention, and integrated wearable and mobile device enhance patient care, and particularly that this Excel environment utilizing this is a typical for the DTX, utilizing Excel and gamification game type can be used as enhanced patient engagement and comprehensive data utilization. So I just look at this is one I look at all the my analysis from patents and other like the product innovation that I just summarize how they can apply Alzheimer's disease. And you just see my presentation that I shared. And there was like mental health care, and then development disorder like autism and ADHD, and then like a cancer. I'm particularly interested in that. I just actually this morning I just posted that I have another webinar about how to digital health technology can be converged to make this cancer holistic and the person cancer care enablers. But anyway, because maybe you maybe see my next webinar, and then we will see what my idea, and then diabetes also. So why integrate the clinical trial with the precision GTX? So this is one of the real-time data integration and monitoring is enabled, right? So enhancing clinical trial with precision GTX, and then personal intervention during trials. So GTX characteristic is like a feedback loop, and then personalized intervention is enabled, so they can be integrated even in the trial stage, that can personal intervention is enabled. And another thing is that gene correct trials by nature is a D-star. So and the DTX integration is a natural outcome. And then so and for example, the early phase trial that you can utilize DTX. So not just for the DTX development in the traditional drug development, right? Then companion to like a traditional drug like a development, they can utilize DTX early stage trials. And also like for example, proof of concept feasibility study. And this type biomarker is very, very important endpoint optimization enabler. And another thing is that in the later stage trial and the post-market study, enhancing later stage trial can be enabled by this RWE integration utilizing DTX. And then maybe the Princeton DTX as an adjunct to drug therapy in clinical trial is the same thing, right? So combining therapeutic strategies, drug DTX combination will be a fantastic that because usually the DTX is developed complementary to the traditional drug treatment. So it acts like some duo of DTX and drug combination development during your process of drug discovery of the development with the clinical trial integration will be very fantastic that will like innovate in the traditional treatment development. Okay, then behavioral intervention to complement the pharmacotherapy is another way that like a traditional treatment using the like a pharmacotherapy and then implementing like DTX as a behavioral intervention that there are a lot of the advantages in that. So this is my contribution actually the over my 1 years in the deeper level understanding of in the DTX analysis the healthcare that I come up with the idea with my like business partner that how can make this happen that to be integrated mainstream healthcare. So I look at the what the digital therapeutic like a product life cycle, and then we developed some platform that actually that, for example, clinical trial compliance or real world application, how they can combine to integrate to like a clinical trial and develop for utilizing RWE. And then this is one of the one that how to access this like development. And so we developed the DTX formulary and that can be integrated traditional like a drug formulary to be included in the traditional healthcare workflow. So this is one that we try to do. So maybe you can, if you attended my next webinar in the next week, then she's my collaborator. So she has an intensive experience in digital health medical device product. And the Meditech is one of the largest provider of the EHR system. So we integrate to how to integrate the EHR and then traditional healthcare workflow to make this happen. Okay. So I'm done. So we only left 1 minute, but do you have any question? Okay, so if you are interested in the Amrie's the work, then she shared detail about information in chat, so please look at it. And also you see that Andrew's company's clinical AI is very, very, very good in utilizing the EHR data for particular clinical trials. And we have discussed a lot of the different, as I mentioned, that EHR data is integrated, like a DTX can be a lot of things too, and the new like for screening and the prediction and treatment. So you can consult to Andrew about if you're interested in utilizing EHR data using large language model for various purposes of your like application. Okay, so thank you again. Thank you, Amir and Andrew, to share your great insight about the clinical trials and drug discovery, particularly that deeper level understanding was enabled based on your detailed exploration. So I hope to, for example, Amir and Andrew will discuss further later. But anyway, so I hope you enjoy today's topic. Okay, so thank you very much. And then I hope to see you again in my upcoming. I have a file of the upcoming webinar that the motivation is I want to really interesting how to make digital health as mainstream healthcare. And I look at all the topic challenges and then within my understanding that I divided by the series of the the webinar to touch every aspect, and particularly Amrie, and she is very helpful for my work, and we'll discuss further. Okay. Okay, so thank you again, and then I hope you have a good afternoon, good evening, and have a last of the day. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.